The History of Hershey's by Emma and Vicky. Hershey's founder, Milton S. Hershey, was born on September 13, 1857, in Derry Township, Pennsylvania. At the age of 14, he discovered his passion for confectionery and spent the next 4 years as an apprentice to the master confectioner Joseph Royer in Lancaster. In 1876, Milton moved to Philadelphia to start a candy business, which ended up in bankruptcy. In 1882, Milton moved to Denver and learned how to make caramels with fresh milk. He went back home about a year later and sold homemade candies in a pushcart. In 1894, Milton finally established the beloved Hershey's Chocolate Company. A while later, he met a girl named Catherine Kitty Sweeney in New York while delivering a caramel order. He married her in 1898. In the 1900s, Milton sold the Lancaster Caramel Company, and by the end of the 1900s, he had sold his very first Hershey bar. Milton founded Hershey, Pennsylvania for the company workers in 1903 as a place to live in. In 1905, factory construction was completed. Milton and Catherine founded the Hershey's Industrial School to provide education and opportunities for orphan boys in the community in 1909. On March 25, 1915, Catherine died. Following her death in 1918, Milton gave the Hershey School Trust with his entire fortune. The school trust provides for the well-being of Milton's community. In 1930, the Great Building Campaign began. Milton founded the M.S. Hershey Foundation to provide cultural opportunities for workers and residents of his community. On October 13, 1945, he died at the age of 88. The legacy that he has created as a chocolatier, philanthropist, innovator, and social entrepreneur lives on to this day.
Early history. Everyone can agree that so much has come since the first sale of the Hershey bar in 1900. The Hershey's company has expanded to making 70 million bars daily. 1894 was the year that the Hershey's company established Hershey's Chocolate as a side to the Lancaster Caramel Company. In 1900, Milton Hershey sells both LCC while retaining Hershey's chocolate. He wanted to turn a luxury chocolate treat into an affordable snack. As the success of the Hershey Company rose, Milton Hershey manufactured Hershey Kisses in 1904. However, it isn't until 1921 that Hershey Kisses will be mechanically wrapped with Hershey's trademark plume. After the release of Hershey Kisses, another form of Hershey called Mr. Goodbar was released in 1925, which was the traditional Hershey's chocolate with crunchy peanuts. Hershey's is a huge success, and in 1927, it is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. In 1930 to 1945, the Hershey Company instituted the Great Works Project, which organized jobs in the Great Depression at iconic landmarks of the Hershey's Corporation. This project also created World War II services known as the Russian D-Bar. No one can doubt the fact that Hershey's Company is an amazing success, bringing $1 billion in annual sales to the company in 1979.
Even though they have this title, they have struggled with labor exploitation in the cacao industry, like child labor. Critics argue that Hershey's isn't doing enough to stop the labor exploitation, but Hershey does have commitment to their shareholders through ethical behavior outlined in the Code of Ethical Business Conduct. The code covers issues from conflicts of interest and antitrust to fair trade, sustainable supply chain management, and workplace diversity. The 4 core values are centered on the idea of 1. Hershey. They should be open to all possibilities. They should also grow together and make a difference together. They also need to win together, while also taking individual responsibility for mistakes or achievements. Although they want to engage in ethical and responsible behavior, the more controversial topics are related in the labor exploitation in cacao industry. Most of these things include things like child labor, human trafficking, and even like not paying their workers, like family members, and very dangerous conditions. There are more, although they want to engage in this issue, the reality of the cacao industry is not very ethical. There are many challenges like fair and safe treatment for workers, and that includes children.
The chocolate making process goes over several countries and companies before the ingredients are at the manufacturing plant. The supply chain for this is quite extensive and elaborate, just like the coffee industry. The ethical and legal problems that come from the manufacturing of chocolate is the cocoa bean. There is so much labor for just 1 pound of chocolate. They need to be dried in the sun, packed into bags, and sent out to shipment. Cocoa plantations are found in rainy, hot, and tropical climates with large amount of vegetation. The main cocoa market is supplied by mostly poor nations. 70% of it comes from Africa, 19% from Asia, and 11% from the Americas. Since Africa mainly supplies the cocoa market, labor is scarce. This has made child labor, slavery, and human trafficking across African borders thriving businesses. To keep costs low, they use family members as a source of labor. Children who work on the plantation between 12 to 15 years old, but can be as young as 5.
Many work in dangerous conditions with the workdays lasting from 8 hours to 12 hours. Poverty causes parents to rely on children to provide for their family. It is common for traffickers to abduct young children from other poor neighboring countries. They're also taught many dangerous tasks for children, like how to use a chainsaw and spraying large amounts of toxic chemicals without protective clothing. It is estimated that 2/3 of African farms use child labor. They also exploit workers. Some of them are enslaved. This is obviously a bad look for Hershey's. They have tried to become more positive with their work conditions, but this is only in the U.S. But people say that they aren't doing enough for the exploitation of workers and children in cacao plantations in Africa. Sometimes it isn't in your control on what your supplier does.